start the meeting to order. Public Services meeting to order. The first item is Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Commissioners. First item on the agenda, number 3, is adoption of the agenda.
Romano adopts the agenda.
Moved by Romano, supported by Commissioner Kraft, I believe, supported it. I just saw you go green in the monitor there. Okay, so again, the computer vote is not working, so I'll just ask for a vote. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The agenda is adopted. Item number 4 is public participation. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to address this board pertaining to items on the agenda only? You have 5 minutes and you must press *6 to unmute yourself to be able to speak. Going once, going twice, sold. We'll close that portion of the agenda and go on to presentations here. I see we have our Planning and Economic Development Director here, Vicki Rad. We'll go on to item 5A, which is a presentation, the Planning Department new dashboard. The floor is yours, Vicki. Welcome.
Great. Thanks so much for having me. We've got some great presentations, information to roll out during this meeting. The one big thing that we've been working on is this dashboard. I know I've been hearing from a lot of folks saying, you know, where's the money at? Where is it heading? So I think the greatest way to do that in government is through transparency. So we created this dashboard. I'm going to try to present the screen so we can walk through it. I don't know if you guys had a chance to look through it, but it is pretty amazing. Give me one second. All right, so can you guys see my screen at this point?
Yep, your screen, Vicki, is presenting.
Fantastic, fantastic. So this is our first phase of this dashboard. This will definitely evolve as we look at that spend down of the CARES Act dollars. As you know, our department received close to 70 million. Now that we have a good portion of that with grants in the form of these $5,000, $10,000 relief grants. So what you're seeing here with phase 1 is this dashboard. Really, it provides a great snapshot of how much money has gone out already. In fact, these numbers are actually now updated. Close to 50 million has gone out. But I think it's also important that, you know, as those dollars went out, that we really were able to capture the types of businesses that we were touching, the types of industries that they represent, and then where are they located? Making sure that there's some fair and equitable distribution across the county. So you do have the ability to drill down. You can kind of see right now manufacturing is taking the lead. Not that it's a race or anything like that, but when we pull together our Economic Recovery Task Force, each one of these industries is represented as far as the targeted industry. You can see the breakdown of how much went to each community. This here is actually really important to us when we talk about our minority-owned or women-owned, veteran-owned businesses. Today, about 1/3 of the dollars have been allocated to some of those smaller businesses. Typically, you're 1 to 4 employees, so sometimes that's your really tiny small business. But it just creates a great snapshot that we're making sure that we're including those minority-owned businesses. And then within the dashboard, you do have the ability where if you wanted to do a drill down by zip code, you have the ability to do that, and you can see how many were distributed per zip code. And then there is the capability. This is all internal, utilizing our GIS. You have the ability to look at grants by award location. This also has a great functionality as far as searching. So for example, if you have a business that reaches out to you, one of your constituents, and they're like, you know, I haven't received my grant, can you let me know if it's coming? Or did my business down the street get a grant? Let's say, I'm gonna just throw in Nikki's because I know they got that, Nikki D Sports Grill. you can actually do a search, drill down, and it'll actually showcase where exactly they're located. And it looks like they did receive their grant. And so there's a lot of functionality with this dashboard. It works really well with our grants. However, we're going to expand this to include some of the other projects. For example, at the previous board meeting, we had the Automation Alley is now rolling out their program for PPE. There's some different metrics involved with that, not necessarily in the form of grants, but we'll find a way to get that information out there and really attribute to the businesses that were beneficiaries of those dollars. So I don't know if you guys have any questions on that, but that's available for your perusing. We have gotten quite a bit of attention from our partners in the media, just drilling down and looking to see how our Macomb County businesses are benefiting from these grant programs. All right.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Drollet with a quick question.
Go ahead, Commissioner Drollet, please.
Thank you, Chair. I don't have the presentation appearing on my computer. Am I missing something? Is there a button I should be pushing?
Yeah, Leon, I'm having that problem also with myself, but if you go and look the video call when you can see everybody by face to meet at, Vicki did have that presentation on that screen, but I'm having the same issue with you, Leon.
Okay, similarly, I can't access any of the attached documents on any of the budget or any of the agenda items.
Right, you could press on the item, but when you click on attachments, it's not allowing
Nothing
it to
shows
open
up. Right.
So I think hopefully we'll get that figured out, Leon. I know Mike's probably working on it, so hopefully we'll get that working out. But any other questions for Vicki on this new dashboard presentation? Okay, so seeing none, I'd like to get receive and file for item 5A, please.
Move to receive and file, Drollet.
Okay, moved by
Brown.
Moved by Drollet, supported by Brown. We'll take a voice vote. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Very good. Item number B is the presentation, Economic Recovery Task Force. CARE Act funding $10 million to $20,000 per organization. Please, Vicki.
Sure, and thanks again. This goes back to the expansion of services that we want to provide to our businesses during the pandemic. When we put the survey out there to our businesses, we did hear back from them that even though a $5,000 grant is wonderful, it does not cover the cost or help them improve the cost of capital improvements they've had to make, whether it's to their facility or they had to purchase technology in order to go to a safe remote work startup situation for them. So this program, we're going to be working closely with our chamber partners, both Sterling Heights and Macomb Chamber on this program, and it's a reimbursement program. What it allows for is our Macomb County businesses to submit receipts. So any PPE that they have purchased, this could be the hand sanitizers, the masks. We heard from our healthcare task force that they had to purchase special HVAC filters to help with the airflow to prevent the spread of COVID inside their facilities. There was a cost for that. And so the way that the program is designed, it's similar to our grant program where businesses do have to apply, but they provide receipts dollar for dollar. Those do have to be dated. We've actually changed the dates to make sure that we get it into this fiscal year, especially paying attention to the CARES Act expiration date. And the thoughts there would be to help offset some of those initial as well as occurring costs that these businesses have had to face as they try to safely reopen for the businesses for the pandemic. With that, I'll kind of outline the idea with the program. We are definitely still focused on our small business, same eligibility criteria as the grants, up to a 100% reimbursement for businesses under 50 employees, a 50% reimbursement for those between 50 to 500. And then, as I mentioned, it would be dollar for their costs that have already been expended.
Okay, great, Vicki. Any questions, commissioners, for Vicki? Okay, seeing and hearing none, I'll take a motion to receive and file, please.
So move, Hall.
Sure, moved by Commissioner Hall, supported by, I think I heard Romano. Without objection, please vote, voice vote. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries.
Aye.
We'll go on to item C, Business Enhancement Digital Online Marketing Program, CARES Act funding $5 million. Vicki.
Correct. All right. So this is another great creative programming that we pulled together, just really hearing from the voice of our customer, from our businesses. Many of those businesses, those customer-facing businesses, your restaurants, your retail, as well as like your gyms or anyone that has customers walking in the door, when they initially had to shut down, and if they did not have an online presence, they really felt the impact. So with this particular grant, it will be a voucher that the business will receive. The idea is to get these businesses having a strong website, a strong e-commerce site, as well as the ability to promote and market on social media the products and services that they provide. In order to survive in this online world, they definitely have to take a look at that online presence. We've been working with vendors in Macomb County, some pre-vetted marketing and media vendors that would help step in and help these businesses get a very professional look and feel to their websites, as well as create a search engine optimization program so that they're getting the best benefit of being out there. This program could be in conjunction to the PPE reimbursement, so we could ultimately have businesses benefiting from both of these programs dually. The voucher is up to $10,000, and then that work does have to be completed by the end of December.
Okay, great, Vicki. Any questions, commissioners, on this item? Okay,
Motion to receive and file.
Moved by Gillette, supported by Kraft. Please vote by indicating aye. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed?
Aye.
One opposed vote, I think I heard. Okay, motion passes. We'll go on to now. We got a really long agenda here under department recommendations. And it looks like, I believe, we just have Vicki here for item 6A. Michigan Small Business Restart Program grant. CARES Act funding of $7.5 million. Vicki, the floor is yours.
Absolutely. And this is another blessing that came our way. Albeit it is a lot of work managing all these grants. However, you know, this does provide us more relief dollars to get to our businesses. This is a 7.5 budget adjustment request so that we can receive that money and get those checks out there. The program has now since closed out. We received close to 3,200 applicants, which we're currently reviewing. The threshold of the grants, we're looking at anywhere from $2,500 up to $10,000 in grants, depending on the size of the business and the need.
Okay, great. Commissioners, any questions for Vicki on this item, please?
Drolette has a question.
Go ahead, Leon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Vicki, for your explanation. I'm not sure whose phone is ringing there. I have a question regarding the allocation of the funds. According to the documentation that was presented with this, which unfortunately I can't access on the computer right now because of our glitch, 20% of the funds to be allocated are to be allocated based on ethnicity or skin color or gender. And the state has a constitutional provision, or a state constitution, of the state providing preferences or discrimination based on ethnicity, gender, and national origin, and so forth. I realize this is not a provision put in the language by the county. But my question is this a provision put in by the state or put in by the federal government? Do you know the answer to that question?
I do. So when these dollars were presented to the MSF, Michigan Strategic Fund, they wanted to make sure that a percentage of the allocation did go to minority, women-owned, or veteran-owned businesses. Some of the
Who is they when you say they want to make sure?
the Michigan Strategic Fund Board.
But the Michigan Strategic Fund cannot do that. They cannot, under the Constitution, say that those issues should be taken into consideration when providing in the operation of state government. They cannot.
Right.
So my question is, they can do that what the federal government requires it, because our Constitution has a provision that if required by the federal government, then it can be passed along. But the state cannot add on any gender or skin color or race or ethnicity provisions for the operation of government.
Got it. And I don't necessarily have a response to that, other than I do know they did put a goal to get a 30% minority-owned business status, women-owned or veteran-owned status as part of the allocation. I will tell you, as far as Macomb County numbers, we exceeded by far. I think when we look at the total number of grants, about 60% of the grants that came in meet that threshold. And so even though we do prioritize that and take a look at that, and I'm not sure how that language was added based on what you've shared here legally, I can take that back to the MEDC to see if there's any statute behind that.
I would ask that our corporation counsel review that provision for an opinion onto its constitutionality.
Okay.
I don't mind if 90% of the applicants are, what I consider minority owned, but we cannot set aside goal quota a specific percent or specific goal. All we can do is require there be no discrimination of any sort. For example, obviously we wouldn't say that, well, you're only allowed up to 30% minority participation, so the other 70% must be white men or something. We wouldn't. That would be unacceptable. And therefore, all the funds should be available to any resident of the county who meets the criteria without regard to their race, their gender, their ethnicity, their national origin, in accordance with the Constitution. By setting aside a certain percent or a certain amount of money that's only available depending on what your genetics are, that is in violation of the state constitution, and we should not be violating the Constitution.
Okay, very good, Leanne. Any other questions?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Commissioner Brown, please.
Thank you. I'll follow along with Commissioner Gillette's concerns. I share those as well. I mean, since this money is coming to is given great discretion, if money is coming to the federal government, to the states, and to us as a county to decide how to spend it as we see fit. So do we have the right to change the criteria and eliminate that criteria and authorize our staff to allocate the money, based on everything except those discriminatory practices put in there by the MEDC, if they in fact work?
So I think you're asking the question is, do we have the ability to adjust the contract to remove that language?
Yes. Could you do that?
I definitely
would have to answer to
conversation back to our partners at the state to see if that is allowable. When they did roll out the program, each of the EDOs in Michigan were given the same parameters on that 30% goal. And I can get some clarification on whether we're looking at a goal or a mandate, because I think those are two very different things. Like I said, I don't think we'll have a difficult time reaching it, but if the problem is the language in the contract, that definitely can be discussed. I would like to bring that up to our Corp Counsel as well.
Sure. How is it, as in the other grants that you've been administering for us so very well? Is this the same process? There's an application online. They go online for each one of those grants. Even the previous ones we talked about, it's still the same process, correct? There's nothing.
Correct. This application was run through the MEDC, so it was actually their application and online form that our businesses filled out. If they had selected that Macomb County is their home base, we received receipt of that application.
But we're the portal to the MEDC, though, aren't we? So we could funnel our people to the MEDC, or do they have to find, or do they find their website independently of us?
That website was broadcast to the MEDC. We did link it back to our homepage so that our businesses could find that application and could submit.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Vicki. Thanks for gotta be a lot of stress on your whole staff to try to get this amount of money out to the people, make sure it's done in a, you know,
right.
in a fair basis.
Yeah, I do want to also, yeah, I do want to also make mention there are some timelines, parameters for the spending of these dollars. Ultimately, get those monies out to the businesses. It does go back to the MEDC, which would be unfortunate for our businesses. So there's a little bit of expedition on our part to get those dollars out, which is important that we're all on the same page and moving this thing forward to those dollars.
Spend it or lose it, what you're saying, right?
Got it. Yeah.
That's right. All right. Thank you, Vicki. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Don.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
Commissioner Hall. Thank
yes,
you.
sir. Go ahead.
Vicki, thank you. Sounds like it's a challenge and you're standing right up to it. I do want to follow on both Commissioner Brown and Commissioner Gillette. You said you're going to go back to MEDC and ask the criteria, and that's fine. But since they're the ones that established it, we do need to get confirmation from Corp Counsel that we're not violating the state constitution. So I know you're under a time constraint to make sure the distribution takes place before we use it or lose it, but this is critically important that we're not violating any constitutional criteria in doing so. So my recommendation, once you get the response from MEDC, is bounce that off John as quickly as possible. So thank you. Whoop, got a visitor.
Oh, who's that, Vicki?
This is your mini county commissioner in training.
Great, wonderful. How you doing, young man?
Good.
Wonderful. Any other questions for Vicki, commissioners? Okay, seeing none, I need a I need a motion to approve, please.
Moved by Leonetti.
Moved by Leonetti, supported by, who do we have support by? Commissioner
All
Hall,
support.
Wonderful. All in favor, we need a voice vote, indicate by saying aye.
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 Motion to not approve.
Drolette votes no. Drolette votes no.
One no vote, Leon Drolette. Okay, thank you, Vicki. I believe that concludes the portion of our committee with you. Thank you very much. Be safe. Take care of the little guy there, okay?
You got it.
Chairman,
Thank you.
Chairman
Thank you.
Majek, this is Bob Smith. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Chairman, was that a motion to approve or a motion to forward to full board?
Forward to full board. I mean, we're approving it, so that's going to go to full board, correct?
Well,
That would be
it came across as a motion to approve. I just want to make sure it was a motion to move to full board, and we might get a few answers maybe before Thursday for Commissioner Gillette and Commissioner Brown.
Without objection, that was yes, a motion to approve to go to full board.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. Thank you, Vicki.
You got it.
Okay, so commissioners, we now have items B through N, and these are all road department items.
Move in their entirety.
Okay, so Commissioner Drolette makes a motion to move into the entirety. Do we have support for that?
Support.
Support by Commissioner Duge. Okay. The first thing I'd like to do, because these are a lot of items, it is a lot of money. Brian, you here?
Yes, Chairman.
There he is. How you doing, Brian? Good to see you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So we just have a motion on the floor to approve all these items. Is there anything you would like to talk about specifically that we might need to hear about on any of these items? Anything different out of the ordinary other than what we see?
Not in particular. If anybody has any specific question regarding any of the items, they're typical contracts that we have for construction, cost share agreements with the communities, and basically our ComTech Center funding allocation and contract with ACOM for the contract work out of that facility. So all pretty standard. If anybody has any question in particular, I'd be happy to answer.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir. Commissioner Brown?
Thank you. Item J, the Shelby Parkway, 1.9 million. That's the roundabout, I assume, going in at 23 and the Parkway. Is that it, or is that something else?
No, that's something else, Commissioner Brown. That's the actual intersection just east of M53, the signal on 23 Mile, and that's Shelby Parkway, just east of M53 on 23 Mile Road. That's for improvements to that intersection to make that function more efficiently.
So is that going to be done before the roundabout, or is that going to be done? Well, it's supposed to be done before, probably, then, eh?
The roundabout you're questioning, we don't have a proposed roundabout on 23 Mile Road in that location. This is basically for that signalized intersection just east of M53 there.
But didn't you just have a ribbon cutting at 23 in Shelby Parkway?
The township did, but that is for this project, but it's not a roundabout. It's just.
I'm sorry, not a roundabout. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's just adding some additional eastbound lanes, dual turning improvements for northbound on the Shelby Parkway, additional widening to the north side for westbound traffic on the on-ramp for the express. So it's various improvements, but it's not a roundabout. It's just improvements to the overall intersection itself.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Brown. Thank you.
Chair?
Any other? Yes, Commissioner Kleinfeld, please.
Yes. Two things. Item number C, the modernization of the traffic signals. I saw that Phlox is on there. We had talked in the past. I was getting a lot of complaints from residents with regard to the timing of that light. Is this modernization going to change timing? What exactly does this project do?
This project was actually initiated by the City of East Point. They got funding for this particular intersection, and it is under our jurisdiction, but they did receive some funding, so we decided to participate with them with their project. It is an upgrade to the signals in general, and looking at updating those facilities at that location. So they definitely will look at the signal timings and the efficiency of the intersection, as well as upgrading equipment that's aerial and underground in that location.
Okay, so after they do this, that's when we'll know whether or not it will change. So it might change, it might not.
We're hoping that, yes, with this, it will provide for more efficient intersection with upgrade to equipment and possibly timings to make it.
Okay. And then one last question, and it's not on here, but I've been waiting to see it. The Hayes project from 10 to 11, is that going to get done this year? I know it was supposed to, but I haven't seen.
That is correct. We were originally proposing to have it constructed this year. Upon looking at that closer, we needed to reevaluate the actual repair of that. We originally had it slated for a mill and fill for the entire stretch. Upon further investigation, we're going to have to do a more intense repair for a larger portion of that roadway. So we had to kind of go back to the drawing board as far as our method of repair. So with that being said, we needed a better design for that, a more in-depth design that is taking us a little more time to get done. We don't anticipate that going this year, but will be on the agenda for next year, but it's going to be more of a longer lasting repair per se.
Okay, since it's put off, I hope it makes it early next year.
We'll make every attempt to do that, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Veronica. Any other questions for Brian, Commissioners, on items E through N? Any other questions, Commissioners?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Kraft.
Yes, Commissioner Kraft, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Brian, real quick, the Traffic Operations Center work, can you give some highlights as to what's being done there?
You're talking
item F.
Item F. That's basically the year-to-year annual budget that we have for our traffic operations center, our contact center. We get that allocation to support the contract staffing that we contract out to run the ITS services out of that facility and do the field work with the ITS technicians. So basically that funds those contract personnel in that facility on an annual basis. I know we've gotten a little bit of a bump the last couple years into the next couple years, so that's good to see. And it also supplies the funding for our staffing that works over there also. Basically the monitoring of the intersections, the line speeds that come in as far as the video, the ability to change signal timings remotely from that facility to more efficient provide for better traffic flows in a lot of the areas that are possible with that technology. So we're ever evolving into more technology and more, I guess, remote access to our facilities in the field.
Thanks, Brian. I just want to give you and the department a shout out too, real quick. I had a constituent up in Lennox Township when every time it rained, the dirt road water would wash off his driveway and wash it out actually. So you guys went up there, took care of it, and he said it hasn't looked that good since he moved in years and years ago. So thank you and your team for helping out, and thank you, Mr. Chair.
Great,
thank you, Phil. Any other questions or comments for Brian, commissioners?
I do, Commissioner, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Commissioner Brown, the second round.
Item B, the vehicle maintenance building budget adjustment. The funds budgeted for this year were 2.7 million, but the actual is going to be 6.9. Have you expanded or accelerated the construction over there? What prompted the budget adjustment?
The reason for the budget adjustment for this past contract year, we anticipated to spend more monies last budget year, so we didn't carry over as much for this year. That was just an error in estimation. The overall budget for that was 11.5 million, and the overall final cost, which we're wrapping up within the next probably week or two, is going to be about $50,000 plus or minus under that 11.5 million that was approved previously. So this is just an accounting thing. But our budget of 11.5 million, we're going to be under that by about $50,000. It was just an accounting of carryover, shortfalling or carryover from last year to this year.
Okay. And did I hear you say that building's going to be ready in a couple weeks? Did you say? No,
we already got C of O. So we're already in there and operating. This is just filing out the project monies wise and contract wise. So like I said, we're going to be about $50,000 under the $11.5 million allocated budget.
Are you going to have any type of open house, or maybe you haven't? I missed it. Over there, I'd be, might be interested to take a look at that new facility and see assuming it's remarkable.
It is a very nice facility, Commissioner Brown. We have not yet had a ribbon cutting or opening ceremony. That is being ran through the county executive office when they work to see that happen. So hopefully we can.
We've been a little preoccupied.
Pardon?
Understandably. We have been a little preoccupied, but it is a nice asset that we've got.
I know the executive office is looking at timing and such to best suit that opening. So, but yes, we have not had one as of yet. Hoping to do so sometime within the near future.
Where exactly is that located again?
That's in our Clinton Township Service Center area off of 15 Mile in Nova.
Okay. All right.
Our, salt facility storage building there.
All right, great. Okay, thank you. Thanks for the good work. Take care. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Don. Any more questions, commissioners? Floor is open for more questions, comments for Brian. Okay, I see none. I hear none. We do have a motion on the floor. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Any no votes? Motion carries. Thank you, Brian. Keep up the good work and please be safe.
Thank you. You also.
Item 7, we need to receive and file motion for A, B, and C. Can I get a receive and file motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman. Support, Leonetti.
Moved by Carabelli, supported by Leonetti. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Item number 8, new business. Commissioners, any new business? Any new business, commissioners? Okay, seeing none here. Yes, sir, go ahead. Did someone have new business? No? Okay, that was a little garble there. Someone has to mute themselves. Okay, we'll close that portion of the agenda. New business. We'll go on to item number 9, which is public participation. Anyone from the public wish to address this body, you have 5 minutes, and you must press *6 to unmute yourself to be able to talk. Anyone from the public? Anyone from the public? Third and final time, anyone from the public? Okay, seeing no one from the public, we'll need a motion.
To adjourn. Motion to adjourn.
Okay, I got moved by Duche, supported by Drolet. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, motion carries. We are adjourned. Commissioners, thank you very much. Great job, everybody. Be safe and healthy. Thank you.
Take care, everyone.